Welcome to another story made by Oracle One, Inc. The sharp buzz of the tattoo machine hummed in the sterile room as Elliot paced his hands over the paper towels, preparing for his next client. It was past midnight, and the city streets outside drowned beneath the heavy rain. Neon signs flickered, casting restless shadows inside the dimly lit parlor. The walls were splattered with sketches, dragons with twisting tails, ancient runes, delicate florals. Each design telling a story, a secret, or sometimes just a whim. Elliot stared at the single sheet of tracing paper pinned to his station. A strange symbol. Not something he'd ever seen before. A combination of jagged lines interwoven with a delicate spiral, almost hypnotic in design. The kind of image you'd find etched on some ancient talisman lost to time. He couldn't recall who had requested it, but the image had surfaced in each of the last 4 appointments he'd done. 4 clients. 4 who had walked into his studio, alive, excited to adorn their skin with that very symbol. 4 who left him with a sense of apprehension he couldn't shake. 4 who had all died within days of their appointment. Elliot sank into the worn leather of his chair, the buzzing of the tattoo machine fading into an ominous silence. The first had been a young woman named Carly. Vibrant, full of life, a regular who loved experimental designs. She requested the symbol as a mark of personal strength, she said. 3 days later, she was found dead in her apartment, the cause listed as cardiac arrest, despite her young age and no previous history. Autopsy inconclusive but suspicious, according to the coroner. The second client, a man named Marcus, had the symbol inked across his chest, bold and solitary. 5 days after his session with Elliot, he was in a car wreck, brakes failed. All evidence pointed to no foul play. Coincidence, the police insisted. The third, an elderly woman named Vivian, approached Elliot with a trembling voice, requesting the symbol on her wrist. She died 3 nights later, a victim of apparent poisoning that baffled investigators. Strangers with no motive questioned the case. And the fourth was the man who had just left the studio 3 nights ago, Leonard. Elliot had inked the symbol on the nape of his neck. Leonard had shrugged off Elliot's questions about the design and said only that it was an ancient protection charm. Now Leonard was missing, his home abandoned with signs of a hasty departure. His phone silent, his friends terrified and tight-lipped. Something was wrong, and Elliot was caught in the middle, haunted by the feeling that the symbol was a curse, or a message, or worse, an incantation. Elliot's phone buzzed, jolting him from brooding thoughts. A text from Detective Harper. The words burning red on the screen. "You need to come down to precinct now." The detective's tone was always curt, professional, but this time there was an undertone of urgency. Elliot grabbed his jacket and slipped into the rain-soaked streets, the weight of unease pressing down on his chest. The world around him blurred as he reached the police station, where Detective Harper awaited him, flanked by stacks of case files and a map littered with red pins. "Tell me everything about the symbol," Harper demanded as Elliot was led into an interrogation room. "It's not mine," Elliot began, the words tasting bitter. I never decided to make it part of my portfolio." All 4 clients came with the design already drawn, or described to me. They said it was some kind of protective symbol from an old tribe. "But it's not in any design books I own." Detective Harper nodded, his eyes sharp under heavy brows. "We've found some strange connections." All 4 clients were involved with an obscure museum exhibit recently, the lost artifacts of the Ardrith civilization. They all attended the same private viewing 2 weeks before their appointments. Could be coincidence. But then the deaths started. Elliot swallowed. The symbol. If it's tied to that exhibit, maybe it's not just superstition. Harper leaned forward, the gravity of the moment sinking in. "There's one more thing. We've found your name and the tattoo parlor listed in encrypted emails between unknown senders, referencing the mark and a cleansing to come. We think someone's orchestrating this to cover up something. Elliot felt a cold shiver race down his spine. I'm just a tattoo artist. I swear, you're not in trouble, but we need to find who's really behind this. Starting with the fifth client. You never inked them, did you? No, Elliot replied quickly, voice hollow. I cancelled their appointment the moment I saw the symbol again. Harper nodded and slid a photo across the table. A pale-faced man with hollow eyes. This is Ryder, a name Elliot didn't recognize. He showed up yesterday, Harper said quietly. Wanted the symbol inked, said it was his destiny. We tracked him, but he disappeared hours ago. Elliot's breath caught. He's connected. Exactly. And the only way to stop this is to understand what the symbol really means. Later that night, Elliot sat at his cluttered desk, books and ancient texts spread before him. The symbol etched into his memory as he scoured every volume related to archaic civilizations, folklore, and tribal rituals. Hours ticked by, the lamp flickering as he deciphered the meaning hidden in multiple layers of myth. The symbol was called the Ink of Ardrith, a sigil used by a secretive cult that believed in unlocking the veil between worlds. It was a rite designed to protect those who bore the mark from death but also bound them to the spirit realm, slowly tethering their life force until they passed over, becoming eternal guardians. Elliot's pulse quickened. If the mark was inked wrongly, if the ritual was incomplete, the bearer would wither, their life draining away in days. He had unwittingly become the artisan of a lethal curse. The phone shattered the stillness. Harper's voice was tight, curt. We found Ryder, or rather, his body. Identified as suicide. A note was found with a symbol, written in blood. It says, "The gate opens. The chosen rise. There are forces moving, Elliot. This isn't just superstition." Elliot felt trapped, as if inked by a force beyond understanding. Suddenly, realization crept in. Leonard. Missing. What if Leonard wasn't a victim but a key? He rushed back to the tattoo parlor, darting through back alleys slick with rain. He entered the studio, noticing a faint glow emanating from the back room. His heartbeat thrummed in his ears as he stepped closer. Inside, fragmented scrolls and ancient manuscripts were strewn about, and at the center, Leonard sat curled up, eyes wide with despair. Surrounding him were candles, dark stains forming twisted shapes on the floor. They lied, Leonard muttered without turning. This mark isn't a charm. It's a lock, and now it's breaking. Elliot's voice trembled. What lock? Leonard finally faced him with hollow eyes. The boundary between life and death. The Ardrith cult, decades ago, they tried to summon their dead rulers into our world. The ritual failed, the gate sealed by the symbol inked on chosen gatekeepers, to hold the spirits back. Elliot stared. But the deaths? You said the mark protects. No, it binds. And those who die first open the gate wider. The chosen are cursed to die young, tethered until the seal breaks. The air shifted, heavy and oppressive. Leonard reached out, pointing at Elliot's tattooed wrist, where the strange symbol now pulsed faintly beneath his skin. You too, Leonard whispered. You're marked. Elliot's eyes widened. He shook his arm, the ink seeming to writhe under his skin. Why me? Elliot asked. Because you hold the key. The only one who can complete the ritual. But if you don't, Leonard's voice dropped to a whisper, everything trapped will be unleashed. Suddenly, the candles extinguished with a flicker, plunging the room into darkness. Elliot's breath caught as a cold wind swirled, whispering voices brushing past like ghostly caresses. The air thickened, laden with ancient sorrow. We have to finish it, Leonard said. Or none of us live past dawn. Panic and resolve collided inside Elliot as he pulled from his pocket the small vial of ink he'd kept, a blackened substance he'd stumbled upon in the museum's artifacts, its origin unclear but always unsettling. If the ritual required completion, this was the medium. The next hours were a chaotic blend of fear and determination as Leonard guided Elliot's hand to tattoo the final part of the symbol. A complex spiral that sealed the ritual and would either save them or doom them. Every stroke of the needle felt like hammering stakes through his very soul, pain lancing through his veins. When the final line was drawn, the room grew still. For a moment, silence reigned. Then the air lightened, the chilling presence receding as the veil between worlds healed. Leonard sagged, the weight of years lifted from his hunched shoulders. "It's done," he breathed. "But at what cost?" Elliot murmured, staring at the ink bleeding slightly beneath his skin, now alive, as if with its own heartbeat. Leonard smiled faintly, eyes brighter than before. "The curse is broken. The mark protects again. But remember, some ink cannot be washed away. It lives inside you now." Elliot nodded, the gravity of his new existence settling in like ink beneath skin, a reminder carved into destiny itself. News soon reported that the deaths stopped, the mystery vanishing as if erased. But inside Elliot, something secret yet profound stirred. The place where ink had once been a simple art now, a binding contract with ancient power. The parlor doors creaked open another night, a new client stepping inside, eyes curious, a faint shimmer on their skin. Elliot glanced at the symbol, now thrumming beneath his sleeve, and picked up the needle. The art of ink was no longer just a craft. It was survival. For more stories, like and subscribe.